And I'll share my screen. Rob, can we, and Aaron, can we see this? Can you see this? Great, great. Well, the book is called Seeing People Through. And I woke up this morning remembering the original plan. And the reason that we're doing this way is because originally I was going to present this as one of the keynotes at Muse at the International Congress. And just this week, some notifications came up on my calendar about, oh, you're at the International Congress now. I wonder how many of you have had those reminders come up about how COVID has affected our plans. For me and my thinker phase, it really puts me in touch with my grief issue when these things that I was looking forward to so much, I'm reminded of them. I was so excited to do this. But alas, we are not at Muse. We are here together, and perhaps this opportunity has given some of you a chance to be here that couldn't have been at Muse. So I'm glad we're all together today, and we have a great group of people signed up across the 3 webinars today. So this is a picture of me as a child. And one of the things that everyone said about me when I was growing up is I loved dirt. I loved to work in dirt, and that hasn't changed. My wife jokes with me that if I had lots of money and lots of time, I would go rent earth moving equipment and I would go play in the dirt. I love to watch earth moving equipment do their thing. So I was doing this from a young child, as a young child in Africa, growing up in Zaire. But I show you this picture because along with this quote from Albert Einstein, everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its entire life believing it's stupid. My base is promoter, and I didn't know until I learned PCM that this base is shared by only 5% of the population. What I did experience, though, was that nobody seemed to understand my nature. My parents scratched their heads wondering why I did what I did. And people just couldn't figure out how to help me. And I accidentally discovered tennis in high school. And I think it saved my life because it gave me an outlet to get my promoter phase at the time, those needs met in a healthy way, instead of being distressed so much. But it wasn't until I met Taby and got trained in PCM that I really started to understand myself. And this truly has changed my life. The picture on the left is Taby and I on a very special day. We had the opportunity through one of our clients in Little Rock to go to the annual Chamber banquet, Chamber of Commerce banquet, and Bill Clinton was the keynote speaker. And so we got Taby a table. Taby and I were able to join our client at the table, and we were able to go talk to Bill. And Taby and Bill reunited after quite a few years of not having any contact. And it was a very special moment to see that, a special moment to meet Bill. And then also after we got back to Taby's house, he started reminiscing and sharing all of the communications and correspondence that he had had with Bill over the years. And it was just a very special time. And I feel very grateful, of course, for that relationship with Taby. He's been like a second father for me since my father died 10 years ago. And I just feel very grateful for that. In the introduction to my book, Taby wrote this. He wrote the foreword and he said, PCM is the science of communication. It is the GPS of relationships and the MRI of personality structure. What an incredible connection to the relevance of today. I just love this quote. But I would be remiss without mentioning all of the people that have influenced us along the way. Not just me, but our team. And these are just a few of the pictures I was poring over this week and remembering some of the icons in PCM and from transactional analysis, from Hedges Capers to, John Parr, we see the CMTs here, Edith, Patricia, so many people, Jeff King. We've had so many conversations arguing about the model and honing our skills. We see Uwe over here and Werner in Lisbon last year. And this is by no means a comprehensive list, just an example of some of the amazing conversations and experiences that have shaped my understanding and experience of PCM. And I want to thank all of you who are both here and also not pictured. And my favorite quote of the last decade is from Edith. Edith, thank you so much. You know I quote you all the time on this. It was at the Master Trainer Conference in Florida, in Miami, a year and a half ago, where you said, we need to respond to what we see, not to what we know. And what a powerful summary of what PCM is all about and what the message of process really is. So thank you, Edith. A little bit about the genesis of this model. We've spent about 15 years, I spent about 15 years writing and teaching about PCM for leaders. That's my specialty, it's my area of interest, and I've kind of been on this eternal quest with our team for how do we make PCM relatable and accessible and applicable for leaders. And what we know in the US is that PCM is hardly known. It's relatively invisible among all of the different models and tools that are available, especially as a leadership development tool. And so because we are in the leadership development space, we bump up against this all the time. And we desperately need good books about how PCM solves leadership problems and changes lives. We have lots of phenomenal books that outline the model and teach the model, but we also need books about how it connects and is relevant to leadership problems. So the process, this has been in the works for about 2 years, and the process of reviewing the manuscript is after I had my rough draft and after our team, we had worked together on that rough draft, we sent it out to 8 reviewers. 4 of them had no knowledge of PCM prior, but they were all very, very experienced in the leadership development space. 2 of them were professional reviewers for my publisher, Barrett Kohler. It's a standard process for them to hire reviewers to do that. 2 of them were executive leaders in large companies that we were connected with, and they agreed to review the manuscript as simply a leadership and learning development professional who had no experience with PCM. However, they both had lots of experience with other frameworks and models. 5 people with PCM knowledge reviewed the manuscript. Tavy did, and then CMTs and also several master trainers all reviewed the manuscript. One that's on the call today, Edith, really appreciate your input, and there's several specific things in the book that I will credit Edith for, and a lot of it has to do with making it more alive, making it more relatable, making it more funner and more practical, which is great great adjectives to describe Edith, I suppose. And also all of the reviewers, thank you so much. Each of you contributed very specific, valuable input to transform my initial draft into something that I think we all can truly be proud of. So the title, what's in the title? And the title actually came from a fortune cookie, and this is what the fortune cookie said. The intention is not to see through people. The intention is to see people through. Now, if you want to know the story, it's in the introduction to the book. The story has to do with Jamie in Michigan, and I'm not going to tell you the story now, but I credit Jamie with this. She has been holding on to this fortune cookie. It's in her journal, and she still has it today. And so we've known the title of this book for probably 8 years. What about the cover? Aaron and Rob, you're on the call here. You can probably remember going back and forth with the publisher around cover design. But what we settled on everything is very intentional on the cover. We wanted neutral colors that are simple and soothing and not complicated, not loud, but we also wanted to avoid the colors of PCM. And we didn't want it to imply that this is another colors model or and let the PCM colors reveal themselves later. We settled on the keyhole and the person walking through to emphasize a bright future, and that on the other side of this key, this unlocking this bright future, is all this opportunity and potential that we can unlock. And the person is non-gender. We didn't want to make it a man or a woman because leadership is, everyone is a leader. The word unleash is definitely a power word. It's meant to probably attract more with the executive kind of promoter, persister maybe types. But there's also images of power, creativity, freedom. And then further on down, we talk about potential, which taps into the hope and the possibilities within each of us. We were not going to include process communication model on the cover because we were trying to make this connecting to non-PCM people. But the publisher insisted that it was really important for search to be found on Google searches. And then, of course, forward by Taby Kaler there, a tribute to the originator. So the purpose of this book, why did we write this? There are a lot of great books about PCM. So why did we write another one? Well, we really wanted to connect PCM with current leadership trends. We wanted to distinguish it from all other models that it might be compared to, and give CPs, give you all a new tool for spreading PCM around the world. There's 4 goals that this book is trying to accomplish. The first one is to make clear the intersection between communication, personality, and leadership. So often over the years, we've struggled to decide, is PCM a model of personality or is it a model of communication? And I don't think we have to choose, but what's really critical in this book is this also a model of leadership, and all 3 come together in PCM. Our second goal is to reconcile opposites. Right now, there is a big trend around self-care and how does that compare to serving others. One of the things that we were seeing now with COVID is this emphasis towards compassion, servant leadership, helping other people, going above and beyond, and we're seeing incredible rates of burnout and mental health problems. And so this book attempts to show through PCM that we can reconcile service for others and taking care of ourselves, and those don't have to be opposite. The third goal is to show relevance. This is Daniel Goleman's 4 quadrants of social emotional intelligence. It is one of the best yardsticks to measure what all we're covering in this book. And PCM absolutely increases self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and better relationships, or what we would call other management. I think a lot of previous work that we've done with PCM has focused so much on these are tools we can use with other people. This is how we can connect, assess, connect, motivate, and resolve conflict with other people. But I don't think we emphasize enough that PCM starts with us, and it starts with us. We have to be out of distress first. We're the ones that need to be okay before we communicate with other people. And the fourth goal is applicability. It is really important that I want to convey that the intention of this book was not to redefine or invent or somehow modify PCM theory. Absolutely not. The intention was to apply PCM to today's relevant leadership themes and challenges. Now, when you read the book, or if you have read the book, you can tell there are things I really care about. There are things that we've lifted up and maybe made more important than traditionally in our training. One of those is the emotional life of a leader and phase issues. We've really focused on those as a very important part of leadership. But again, the intention was not to redefine or change the model, rather to apply it. So who's the target market for this book? First of all, like I said before, everyone is a leader. And so there are seasoned leaders that are going from good to great. And this book can absolutely challenge and enhance existing leaders' skills and challenge some of what they've known before and help them unlock areas where maybe they are struggling to be more effective. Newly promoted leaders so often are not trained in leadership skills. They're promoted because of their competence in their job instead. And so this book can be a way to fast track and give a handbook for newly promoted leaders to immediately be more effective. Mentors, coaches, and consultants. This book is a wonderful guide for coaching, and it can be used to work with people in a one-on-one situation or even as a guide for consulting around PCM. That's primarily because the book is about PCM becoming part of a culture and part of the DNA or part of the cultural DNA. Any PCM trainer or coach who's seeking to deepen their own awareness, this book does prime deeper and go further around some PCM concepts that we just don't get to in most of our training and most of our master classes even. And then of course, companies and teams seeking better relationship paradigm or leadership paradigms. Our goal in the US primarily is large companies that want to bring in a new paradigm of leadership that can be applied across the organization for a very large scale deployment. There may be other target markets that you'll see as you become familiar with the book. So I want to share with you a little bit about the structure and the layout. This is the table of contents. And one of the things that you might notice is that there are no PCM terms in the entire table of contents. For people unfamiliar with PCM, the phrases and terms that we use don't mean much. And so the goal here was to focus the titles, focus the chapters around hot leadership topics, and particularly keep it to one word. And that was a real challenge. And so you'll notice here words like hypocrisy, authenticity, honesty. These are very big words in the leadership space. Some of them are fairly hot topics because people don't always agree on what it means. And sometimes it can invite a little bit of conflict. And so we want to entice and excite people with the contents of the book. I want to take a look at each, how we've structured each chapter. And this was not in the original draft. This is thanks to the reviewers. Every chapter starts with what we call a quick hit chapter summary. This is 1/2 to 1.5 pages right up front that summarizes the key takeaways and kind of philosophical points that I'm trying to make in the chapter. This is for people that want to skim and scan, and our publisher shared with us there are plenty of readers that try to get all they can from the first few paragraphs of each chapter, and they skate across the top like that first before they read the book. As a function of my promoter base, I will really enjoy this if I found a book where I could, in 1 or 2 pages, get the gist of a chapter. However, it really is a fable. This is a fictitious fable for those people that really like an easy read. They want to connect to the characters. They want to immerse themselves in the story, and it's relatable. And so the characters are relatable people from today's world dealing with today's challenges. My mother is harmonizer base rebel phase, and she's reading my book now. And every time I see her, she says, I read another chapter and I'm just really enjoying Kayla's life. And she's immersed in the characters. But I have to tell you, I've never written a fable, and it was not only difficult, but I felt very intimidated because before I started, I crafted the structure of every single character. They all had base and phase. They had a full structure. They had sizes of their bars. They had issues that had life circumstances and issues that had led to their phasing, if they had phased. And so the challenge was for their structure to be borne out in the fable itself. And I remember when I sent it to Taby, I thought, oh no, Taby's I'm a fraud. Taby's going to read this and say, well, Kayla's not supposed to say that. She's supposed to have a driver from her base, not her phase at this moment. So it was challenging, but also I wanted to challenge myself with that. And again, thanks to so many of the reviewers, we were able to, I think, get the characters accurate for PCM. Every chapter has resource guides at the end. So if somebody wants to figure out the rest of the story, learn the content for all 6 types, they can certainly do that. And then we have a free facilitator's guide. It should be going online on our website shortly. And this is a guide for teachers, facilitators, team leaders who want to use the book and go deeper and facilitate conversations, learning, and activities with each chapter. So rather than going into too much detail about each chapter, I want to share with you the opening quotes. A lot of books will start with a famous quote at the beginning of the chapter. Well, these were chosen very, very carefully to capture the essence of what this chapter is about and also connect it with leadership wisdom and leadership voices that people might relate to. This one about hypocrisy focuses on how we misuse tools of personality, communication tools in many companies, where we hide behind labels, we don't practice what we preach, maybe we use personality as an entitlement program. Many, many people can relate to having models used as weapons or maybe misused. And so this is where it sets the stage for that. Authenticity. Brene Brown is a great quote. Many, many people have heard of her or read her work. And this really emphasizes that I'm okay, you're okay, and that everything we need is inside of us because all 6 types are within us, not between us. And so this quote from Brene Brown about true belonging doesn't require you to change who you are. It requires you to be who you are. And this is really about growing into our condominium and accessing all those parts that are wonderfully put inside of us. This quote comes from a book on selling and networking from Ken Ferrazzi. His book is called Never Eat Alone. And his strong conviction is that old school business views the expression of emotions and compassion as vulnerable. In PCM, perhaps we have left that to the harmonizers. But in today's business, people see this as the glue that binds us. Relationships are built and broken based on vulnerability and that willingness to express how we're feeling. And so in this chapter, I really lift up the emotional life of a leader, no matter what their personality structure is, that is really important. And face issues are emotional experiences that are so important for us to deal with in order to be healthy. Influence. Obviously, I talk about psychological needs in this chapter, but really it's about how we influence isn't about getting someone to do something. It's really about eliciting the greatness that is within them. And this focuses on the importance of meeting someone's psychological needs in a positive way rather than practicing the golden rule or projecting our needs onto other people. Self-deception. This title was chosen carefully because this is a big phrase, at least in the US. There was a book written called Leadership and Self-Deception by the Arbinger Institute. It's one of the classic leadership books among a lot of the clients that we work with. And this quote, "Stop lying to yourself. When we deny our own truth, we deny our own potential." There's so much within PCM that speaks to how we deceive and deny around myths, around drivers, around masks. It's all about believing things that aren't true and then acting on those things. And we know that the only existential position is I'm okay, you're okay. And this explores that in terms of the dynamics of how a leader's inner life works. Trust. Seth Godin is one of our favorite bloggers. We read him every day. And I don't know how much more simply you can say it. Earn trust, earn trust, earn trust. Then you can worry about the rest. And trust is a sticky topic because different personality types experience and build trust in different ways. And so this chapter challenges leaders to consider that trust is multifaceted, and the best leaders individualize their trust building activities based on the person that they're earning trust with. Agility. One of the biggest themes of PCM is it's not what you say, but how you say it. It's not what you do, but how you do it. It's not the content, it's the process. Tony Robbins has said this in a way that stay committed to your decisions, but stay flexible in your approach. And this is very relevant for leaders because leaders are charged with getting things done and pursuing goals and achieving objectives. And so one of the things we see, and I'm guessing you see this as well, is leaders learning about PCM say, well, if I adjust, if I adapt, then I'm not being true to myself. We tackle that in the authenticity chapter, and then again here about how we approach something is very different than what it is that we're approaching. Selffulness wraps things up with this emphasis on first and foremost every day, get our psychological needs of our phase met in a healthy way, then the base, and then any stages in between. And we make that practical and relevant and applicable for leaders. And the quote here is about the pre-flight safety briefing. I'm not sure how many of us are hearing that right now because there's not a lot of travel going on. And this chapter talks about the difference between being self-full and selfish. One of the permissions that we are given with PCM is okay to be self-full. And we share that before every single training, and we process that with people. And it's usually a pretty, it is such an enabling, empowering permission. Seeing people through is the culmination. It's the final chapter that is titled after the book. And this is about becoming what we can be. And there's two quotes. I couldn't decide on one. I like John Maxwell's quote, but he's got a lot of persister energy. So I knew that would connect with, more executive persister type of energy. But it still is a good quote that success is knowing your purpose in life, growing to reach your maximum potential, and sowing seeds that benefit others. And I think there's three really important components in here, which is knowing our purpose is not just a persister belief system. It's really knowing about what I've been built for and what I'm here to contribute. Reaching your potential is about growing and living and maximizing our structure. And then, of course, using that to benefit other people. And then Oprah, what a wonderful quote by Oprah. There's no paycheck that can equal the feeling of contentment that comes from being the person you are meant to be. And so the theme throughout is I'm okay, you're okay. You're okay the way you are, and you have amazing, wonderful potential, and everyone is a leader. The final chapter, the appendix, is a activity called Creating Your PCM Leadership Design. And this is an activity that the main character, Kayla, she is invited to complete by her mentor. But it's really designed also for all of us working with our clients and our leaders. This is for them. This is for their companies. This is for the coaching, mentoring, and professional development that you would be doing. The leadership design covers 5 areas that the reader is invited to reflect on and write about and analyze for themselves. Their structure, their role models. We invite them to identify a role model in their life that epitomizes the best qualities of each of the 6 types in them. What is their plan for managing their distress? What is their plan for being selfful and taking care of themselves elegantly every day? And then a personality mission statement. And here we're really trying to take mission as not just a persister opinion word, but mission being much bigger about what am I here for and what can my personality bring to the world.
Nate, how do you want to handle questions? A couple have come through. Do you want to wait till the end?
Actually, this is a great time for questions about the book itself, because going forward here, we're just going to talk about some contextual things.
Okay, well, I'll start. First, Rick asked, how can we get a copy of the book before the release date on August 4?
Great question. The way you can get a copy is because you're here today and you're one of the first 100 people to sign up, you will automatically receive a free ebook. The publisher has given us ebook codes, and so you'll get one and you'll be invited to join the sales webinar coming up.
And then the other question is from Edith. Will you share more about honesty in this group? She loves the way you wrote about it in the chapter.
Yeah, I will. Thank you. In the chapter, I identify 2 kinds of honesty. There's safe honesty and there's real honesty. Safe honesty is probably more the type of honesty that a thinker or a persister would share. A thinker would share the facts. A persister would share their opinions. And to them, it's the truthful account of what they see. Very often when we share safe honesty, the outcome of safe honesty is that we are not more vulnerable. We are not exposed. We are still just as emotionally safe after we say it. An example would be if I say, Aaron, if I could be honest with you, your zipper's down, or, can I be totally frank with you? And I'm probably going to share an opinion or a fact about him. But after I share that, he's the one that is now more exposed and more vulnerable, not me. That's what makes it safe. Real honesty is where we get honest about our emotional world, our phase issues, our motivations, what really drives us, what we really care about. And that's about us. And so real honesty is exposing ourselves and the things that matter and that we care about. I really go into that a lot in the chapter interview on that chapter that's on YouTube now. Thanks for asking, Edith. Any other questions that have come up about the book itself so far? Okay. Well, you may have seen some of the promotions that we're doing. I wanted to let you know what's going on so that we'd love your help to expand this, because we're intending this book to be a resource globally, and so any help is greatly appreciated. We have a launch team of about 30 people that have committed to help on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, help promote the things that we're doing. And we have a private Facebook group where we can visit with them about that. I've done several podcast interviews. I believe there's my 4th one is coming up here in about a week. And those are efforts to talk about, I get a chance to talk about the book. I was talking to another author the other day, and I asked him how many he's done before his launch, and he had done 70 podcast interviews prior to the book going live. I thought, wow, that's a lot of time on the screen. Publications, we write. As you know, I write a blog. We write for different magazines and articles, online publications, and we have opportunities to continue to do that. Social media, we use Facebook and LinkedIn primarily, and Twitter. I've been doing chapter interviews. I have a picture over here of one of the chapters. Nicole Hyman interviewed me about honesty. It's a topic that's near and dear to her heart. She's passionate about it. And so each week, someone will be interviewing me about that chapter and lifting out themes that I might not even recognize are important. Seeing people through is the hashtag. This is the one we've created, so we invite you to use that. And anyone can pre-order the book up until August 4. It goes live on August 4, and we're working really hard to try to have a successful launch week where we sell enough books during the week of August 4, 3 to 7, that we can get on Amazon's bestseller list. It makes a big difference for book recognition. And so we would invite you to promote purchases, or if you're going to make a purchase, feel free to purchase it during that week, and that will help us get to our goal. Many people have asked about availability already, and in the US, every option is available: hard copy or paperback, EPUB, whatever, Kindle. Elsewhere, Kindle, EPUB, and ebook is available from Amazon, generally Kindle, and if you go to Barrett Kohler Publishers, you can get it in an EPUB format, basically just a downloadable PDF that you can download. I think you have a couple times you can download it.
Hey, Nate, Christian asked, shall we share links on our social media sites to promote the book?
Absolutely. And seeing people through, down at the lower left is the one link they want you to share. Thank you, Christian. On seeing people through, there are lots of resources for people that want to support promotion. We have tweetable share graphics like the one behind me. There's 6 like this that have different quotes from the book, and you can, with one click, share them on your social media. We have a whole media kit you can download that gives all kinds of suggestions.
Edith asks, are we going to have hard copy books available in Europe?
Well, yes, you can. It's not going to be cheap right now, but yes, we're working very diligently with our publisher to make that available. And I did discover that Porchlight Books is one of the distributors of my book, and they do ship bulk orders anywhere that UPS ships. And I looked at their list of countries, and it's almost anywhere in the world. Now, it's not cheap. UPS is not cheap, but you can get bulk shipments of books up to, I believe, 40 or 50% off of the retail price. So maybe the bulk discount can make up for the shipping costs. Any other questions about availability?
Not about availability, but Dave Kaiser asks, what's our vision of the outcome we want to achieve from this book?
Yeah, the vision is consistent with KCI's vision, is we want PCM to be the tool to make a daily difference in every company. And for us, we're focusing on leadership in large companies now, but the book is designed for any leader to be able to benefit from it. The introduction to the book lays out that vision. I had to do a pretty thorough proposal of the mission, the purpose, the scope, the target markets, all of that, in order for the publisher to accept this book. And a lot of that found its way back into the introduction in the beginning. So hopefully, Dave, that will answer some of your questions there.
Nate, Rick asks, can you discuss the new leadership profile in the book, the connections between the two, and the intent?
Yeah, I'll skip to that, and then I'll be back. I'll go back. I did want to mention that today. The new leadership profile was just released in the US, and I'm not sure if it was Asia as well. I was checking with Heather, but it may be in Asia, but I don't want to, don't quote me on that. I was commissioned by KCI to develop a leadership profile, and it's been about 2 years in the works, and it just went live this spring. It's fully integrated with the book, so every concept is consistent between the two, and the book does mention the profile. And we kind of wrote it in such a way that if you don't have access to the leadership profile, any other profile in PCM is fine to use if people are asking. It also is integrated with the facilitator's guide, so the guide consistently invites people to get their profile, contact a trainer near them. We've been told by KCI that it will be available in Europe in winter in the PCM hub, and it will be in the new format with a lot more sexy graphics and colors and things. And then next is a leadership seminar. Once we have some experience with the new profile, we'll be developing a seminar to accompany it.
One really cool thing for the CPs who end up using this is that when it gets generated, the contact information of the person who requested it, of the CP who requested it, gets printed in the automatically in the profile for you.
Yeah, those of you that are on the call that are US trainers, either in KCI network or ARD network, we'll be doing some webinars about the profile, and we're recording it as well. So whenever it's available, whenever it becomes available anywhere, these orientation webinars will be available, and I'm happy to do them as many times as necessary. So a question, translations. We've had lots of questions about translations, and my answer is yes, please. Obviously, we would love to have this book translated, and we designed it to be universally applicable around the world. And over half of the reviewers were from outside of the US. And so we got feedback on cultural relevance and language and myths that found their way in accidentally. And so we very much would like translations. But I just want to be clear that because this book is published with a publisher, we don't individually negotiate for translations. Our publisher asks that if you know of somebody, if you want it in your language, connect us with a publisher that might be interested in buying the rights. And then we will connect them with our publisher, and they do the deal. My other book is in Russian, and that whole deal happened. I didn't even know about it until we received a Russian copy of the book. So we're not involved in translations, and it's probably best that way. The facilitator's guide, though, we are going to be working to make that available in ways that can benefit you.
Cindy asks, about the profile, is it similar to the sales profile?
It was inspired by the sales profile. It has a similar structure, like an executive summary and then some other sections. Although there's about 5 or 6 brand new sections that for example, decision-making style, blind spots and unconscious bias. We're bringing in a lot more connections to current leadership themes and relevant themes in the leadership profile. Or what happens when we overuse or misuse our strengths.
Yeah.
We can, before we open it up to discussion and further questions, I wanted to let you know that all of you on this call will receive an invitation to attend our follow-up webinar, which is how to use this book as a sales tool. You'll also receive a link to download your free EPUB version of the book. And then it's on July 29. We're doing it 3 times during the day, just like today. And that webinar will assume that you've read the book, and it will talk about how do we use this as a sales tool. And my hope is that this is much more of a collaborative conversation. One thing that we built in throughout the book is the main character, as she learns about PCM, she goes through many of the objections that typical clients go through. And her mentor and coach works with her to overcome those objections. And so built into the story is a subplot, which is the selling of PCM as a cultural change tool, as a leadership development tool for a company. So we'll be talking all about that in the July 29 webinar.
Nate, Rick asked, should we watch your website to know when the leadership profile seminars will occur?
No, the leadership profile seminars or the webinars for leadership profile are only going to be promoted to US trainers, and they'll get notified. So if you're a US based trainer, you will get notified when specifically by email from Heather or us whenever one of those is being offered.
And my guess is that if and when the profile becomes available in Europe, that your distributor will notify you of when a webinar will be.
Yeah, and I've made myself available to KCI. I want to do whatever it takes to orient, help you feel confident and comfortable. There's a lot of leadership themes in here. I was speaking to Uwe recently. He said, you know, it's not just like I want to make it available in my territory. It's not for everyone. Some people may not feel comfortable debriefing it. And so anything that we can do to help you, if you're working with leaders and leadership development, we're here to help. Well, that concludes the formal content that I wanted to share. I'd love to open it up for further questions. If anyone would like to unmute and ask their question, you can request to unmute and we can let you ask your question or share your perspective as well. Any question is okay.
Hey Nate, just a quick follow-up. You mentioned that the facilitation guide would be ready soon, and it's ready. It's live. So if people
Oh
go
yeah.
to seeingpeoplethrough.com, you can get it, sign up there and download it, no problem, today, right now.
Yeah.
Hi, Nate. It's great to be online with you. This is Cindy Hunt from Northern Michigan. Super, super excited. This is timely and exactly what we're talking about with leaders in our area. So thank you for all the hard work you all have been doing. And we enjoy reading your blogs and your website pretty frequently. So thank you to all of that. I have a quick question about this. Have you, I'm just thinking, you know, already connecting dots out into the future, would love to put leaders in some type of cohort now that everybody's used to virtual. Is that something that you guys have done or thinking about, or how to structure that so that they could go through the book, go through their sales profile and kind of learn in a really safe environment prior to trying to bring it into their companies?
Yes, yes, we have. And that's been really on the front of our minds here since COVID, is how do we put cohorts together? And so with the book could definitely be conducted as a leadership cohort book study / training, where people are reading the book, they have their profile, and they're meeting regularly with you or a PCM trainer and coach to process what they're working on, to talk about themes, to share their homework. Every chapter, Kayla is given homework assignment in the book, and then she works on that homework assignment. We see her processing that. The facilitation guide, if you want to follow along with Kayla, you can do her homework. And so it's designed for cohorts. It's designed for being able to work through this virtually really well.
Thank you. That's awesome. I'm super excited about this.
Yeah, I think you could set up a 6-month leadership program with maybe every other week. You meet for 90 minutes or an hour with people and you process one chapter. And they have their profiles. Eventually we'll have the seminar, which is even better, because then everyone can learn about all 6 types instead of just their own. But the book gives that, so.
Thank you. This is awesome. Looking
Yeah,
forward to it.
and Cindy, feel free to call us anytime. If you're trying to put something together and you want just someone to bounce ideas off of, we're happy to do that.
Oh yeah, I will take you up on that because I already have some ideas that I want to put together. So thank you.
Sure. And
Nate,
thank you for your kind words. You're really welcome. It's a labor of love, and we're glad it's out there.
do you want to give the people in the U.S. a little guidance on the leadership profile and how to order it, or?
Yeah, I'll say something really briefly. I don't want to get into too much because it's not available to everyone yet. It's if you're in the US, you can order it just like you normally would. You can select that one when you order. And if there's any problems, if you're not in our network, if you have any problems, just talk to Heather, and the price is the same. It's the same as Key to Me profile. Edith raised her hand, but I don't see.
I
Yay.
got it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Yes.
hear you. Hi, Edith.
Great. Hi. I'm. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge this way. I was curious, even though we don't have the leadership profile available in outside of US yet. Would you be willing to share an example of it, or can we see an example somewhere in the near future?
Sure. Yeah, no problem. What kind of an example would you like to see?
Well, basically, we all know we use the key to me and the 7 components and 8 components
Mhm.
in the Netherlands mostly. So it's just to get a clear view and maybe already and show or share it with our CPs in our network to include them in the process of development and hopefully also
Yeah.
making it available for the Netherlands. So not available like from the system, but like a John Doe example.
Yeah. I'm willing to do that. I wanted to honor the rollout plans, and so I will check with KCI about that. I'm happy to make that available.
Yeah.
On seeing people through, people can order the profile from us directly, and there's a sales page for the profile. That's a great place to get a high-level overview of what all is included, all the sections of the profile, and all of the leadership topics that are addressed.
Great.
So until we resolve your question, answer your question, that's a great place to start.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. I should say on the leadership profile, this also was vetted very carefully by all of the CMTs as well as some others. There are some new kind of twists on how we present PCM concepts and relate them to leadership. And all of them have been thoroughly discussed and argued among all the CMTs, including TABI. And so the new leadership profile probably has some more cutting edge manifestations of the PCM theory, but all of it you can count on as being 100% validated by TABI, 100% agreed on by all of the CMTs when it goes live.
Great.
Yeah.
Sounds like a thorough process.
Yes.
Even I think it was too thorough.
Really? Wow.
Well, and even that, even having it be thorough and accurate doesn't necessarily make it sexy. It's still way too content heavy. And so we know that. And I know, Edith, you're involved in parts of how are we bringing the model into much more graphically relevant and current and interesting. And hopefully the profile will be that way in winter.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you bet. By the way, Edith is interviewing me later about chapter, is it 7?
Yeah, man,
All
I'm
right.
super nervous.
Oh, I'm nervous because I don't know. You always ask these very pointed questions. So next week, a week from today, no, a week from Thursday, Edith's interview with me will be live on YouTube about chapter 7 in the book.
Oh, great. Just increase the pressure. No problem.
You're awesome.
It'll be fine. I'm looking forward to it.
If you can ride a bike in Amsterdam, you can do anything.
That's true.
Hey guys, I see Cindy raised her hand again. Cindy,
Yeah,
you're
great.
unmuted, so you can ask a question.
Yeah, I'm already like 5 steps into wanting to sell and do this with folks. So I have a question about, we work predominantly with a lot of educational leaders, and this is like a serious moment of stress.
Yep.
Just in your vast experience, you don't want to wait for all the stress to go away because that could be a couple of years. I'm thinking of maybe mid-September. Like in your experience, when is the best time to kind of hit that pain point of, hey, we do have to show up our best selves in our daily life to help everybody around us?
We're doing it right now, Cindy. People need it desperately. And it's not so much about, it's more about their bandwidth and their time, the amount of time that they have. Because at this point, and when they're scrambling right now, maybe to figure out, are we going to even have school? How are we going to run our education system this fall? The stress is terribly high. There's a section in the leadership profile about burnout, reducing your risk of burnout. So there's very practical, applicable sections in that profile for them to immediately be more resilient, more agile, and be able to walk right back into that fire and be healthier. And so I think that is a selling point for the timing.
I like that, how to avoid burnout. I think that is the pain point that everybody right now is, and they didn't get their reprieve as they normally would going into a new school year. So thank you.
Well, and
Use that.
difficult conversations are everywhere right now. Every conversation is potentially conflict. And so right now, tools to be able to communicate effectively with different personality types around difficult things, like how we're going to social distance in a classroom, we need tools. And so these educational leaders, I think it's a perfect fit for them.
Just writing down everything you're saying. So thank
No.
you very much.
Sure.
I'm going to use that as I'm trying to get a cohort together to jump into this. Thank you.
Yeah. This might be relevant for some of you trying to sell PCM. Next week's blog I'm writing is called how do I know if my company is in distress? And the answer is, look at your policy manual. The bigger it is, the more you're dealing with mask behavior instead of dealing with the unmet positive need. And so it's a selling article for PCM, but it's couched in this idea of where are we focusing our energy? And if we shifted our energy to meeting positive psychological needs rather than, or meeting needs positively rather than trying to control distress behavior, how much different would our lives be? Any other questions or just comments? If there's anything that, anything you want to share. Appreciate Aaron also and Rob being here helping me out, because this has been a group effort.
There is one more question.
Okay.
Rick is wondering, are you going to make are you planning to make this webinar recording available? Will they receive a copy of it?
Well, yes, that is the intention, is to record this. There's 3 of them. I'm recording this one, I think, and we'll make put one of them on our YouTube channel, and it will be under PCM resources. We have playlists, and it will be under the PCM playlist. It might be unlisted because it's not a public, this is not a public one, but if we do that, we will let KCI know so that they can notify everyone. And if at any point, Rick, you're wondering where is it, you can email us and we'll send you the link. Well, we appreciate all of you being here and particularly look forward to your support in helping promote it. And our goal was for this to be a book that we can all use around the world to bring PCM to more lives. And again, if any of you from outside of the US have publishers who you think would be interested in this book, or you could get interested in the book, we'd love to get that process started. So that maybe in winter or next spring, when the leadership profile becomes available in your language, you can have the book to go with it.
Nate, Debbie asks, she says she's looking forward to reading the book. Will it be something like the Lencioni book? Are you familiar with that book?
Yes.
Okay.
The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team is actually mentioned in Lencioni's book, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. I'm assuming you might be referring to that one, is actually mentioned, and it's one of the big drivers. It's not drive. It's been a big influence in my life. Yeah. And trust. In the trust chapter, we talk about the trust as the foundation in Lencioni's five functions of healthy teams. Debbie, was that what you were referring to, that book?
Ronald asked, any plans of launching in India?
I don't know. Let's make them. Whatever, I don't know what launching means, but we'd love to have the book available there, particularly if there are distributors that are training PCM there. Ronald Fernandez raised his hand. So. Ronald?
Hi, Nate. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Great. I'm so happy that you're doing this for us. Thanks. I'm the first one to get certified in India. I did my PCM training with the Polys.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic.
And yeah, it is great. I can say it positively changed my life, and it's helping me help a lot of people. But I think you should think about doing something in India, launching it, and if when time permits and the situation, the pandemic dies down, you could even come to India, because I think PCM can reach a tipping point in the world if you launch it in India, and if it picks up, lots of people can benefit from it. Lots of leadership can benefit from the PCM itself in India. I've managed to get about 150, 200 profiles with various leaders, and we're trying to build traction. But I think I need all the help in making this a global tool that is accessible locally in India.
Yeah.
If you see what I'm saying.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, one of the things I miss the most since travel has stopped is I miss master classes. I love traveling and working with trainers from around the world and learning about what they care about and making sure we're all on the same page around the model. And so I would absolutely love to come to India when the time is right, and let's stay in touch.
Right. And if I may make a suggestion for you to consider.
Yes.
I think if you could do a few live sessions or a few recorded sessions where I ask you a few questions, or we get a few leaders from different companies to have you and me on the panel, where you're the main speaker, and we throw these questions about PCM and help people understand in India that it's a global tool available here. I think that would help too. So just some thoughts for you to think about. Maybe we could plan something on those lines, if that makes sense.
It makes sense, and I'm putting my email in the chat for you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
So we can start talking about that. I love doing that. I love your idea.
Sounds good, Nate. I've been following you closely on various panels, and I think it's good. I think what you're trying to do is build momentum for PCM. I think it's a fantastic tool. It's helped me save my marriage. It's made me a better parent. As a certified coach and as a cognitive behavior therapist, it's allowing me to read people through their dimensions. I think it's great. Well, we all know the values of PCM anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm just excited to share this podium and just air my views out here. Thank you.
Yeah, if you would email me, let's at least set up a Zoom call and we can get to know each other better.
Sounds good. I'll get in touch with you, Nate. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet. You know, ideas like Ronald's are great ideas. And I originally had a promoter fantasy of doing a world tour speaking circuit. And I was really excited about traveling all over and speaking. I don't know how realistic that is right now. However, I am happy and eager to partner with any of you to do these kinds of things, anything that can bring awareness to the book and help you bring PCM to your part of the world, or bring more credibility to it for leaders. Well, we're at the top of the hour. Thank you so much for being here and for your support and all of your questions. We continue to be eager to hear from you. This is a long-term process of partnering, and look forward to seeing more of your colleagues in the following webinars today. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.